One of our very long-time parishioners died this past week at the age of 92. While St. John's has had many parishioners whose lives are worthy of note, I feel compelled to speak about Bob Hayman because I think that for many of us, his passing feels like the end of an era for our community. A community that I hope, for the sake of all the work and love that Bob and his family put into it, continues to live on. And I've realized that Bob epitomized what it is about St. John's that has kept me in a positive relationship with church all my life. He embodied everything about it that I value, which is what holds me in the belief that other people can find value in a faith community too. This is my personal perspective, and it's an offering both to those who knew Bob and those who didn't, and especially for our young people, because I think he set an example that everybody ought to know of. I'd like to share that the last time I saw Bob was this past summer at his wife Anne's visitation. Our masks made it difficult for him to recognize everyone. So I think probably a number of ladies, aside from my mother and me, were told that they were the loveliest girl at church. He did recognize my father, however, the musical director at church, who knelt down to him and said, "Bob, when I came to the church as a young man with a music degree, I had all kinds of serious ideas about music and how it should be done. And you reminded me, by example, that music is meant to be enjoyed. And I got over myself and started enjoying it again." Bob really enjoyed music. I think that he believed in music. He was so respectful of artists in general. He never seemed to need to get over himself in any way. He was very unconcerned with himself. He was a well-to-do man, but he never carried himself with the consciousness of that or a sense of his own importance. He was, in the absolute best sense of the word, a gentleman. He treated everybody well, and despite having strong opinions of his own, he considered other people's perspectives on all sorts of issues. He listened. He was always focused on other people, with an especial interest in what young people were doing and a desire to help them up in the world. Bob was deeply, consistently, quietly generous. He donated to many arts and charitable organizations, and Bob is a very large part of the reason that our beautiful church building remains so beautiful today. His family hosted epic parties at their cottage and arranged for different families and friends to stay there throughout the summer, and my family is so grateful for that. He often just happened to have extra tickets for some function or other and would so-and-so do him the favor of just taking them off his hands. A little story I like that occurred a few years ago was when Bob for real had extra tickets. As Anne became more ill, they couldn't use their subscription to Mirvish Theatre in Toronto, so Bob would arrange for other people to use his tickets. He'd given one to my brother, his godson, who was busy and passed it on to me. I showed up at the theater, and there was someone else in my seat who turned out to be Bob's step-granddaughter. And it was all fine. We all got to see the show, but what struck me was, this is so Bob. He's forgetting. He forgot that he'd already given those tickets away, but he hadn't forgotten that the tickets needed to be shared. He'd remembered to share his good fortune with others and to not let it go to waste. That was always on his mind, I think. several years ago, Bob and Ann made an overnight trip to see me in a play, to a place they would otherwise never have gone to visit. And Bob was characteristically just thrilled about the experience. Anne was losing her words, so she just held my eyes with her own, kind of beaming warmth at me to let me know how she felt. And I watched them for a while as they walked away from me down the street. It was a pretty tree-lined street, and the sun was kind of framing them, and they were walking hand in hand. And Anne was looking up at him so trustingly, and Bob just looked so pleased with life, as always. And I thought how they had gone to this trouble because they had witnessed me grow up. And now I was witnessing them get very old. And how the bearing witness we talk about in Christianity, that's not limited to our witnessing of God's message. It's also simply bearing witness to each other, which is maybe the same thing. Not just bearing witness to our struggles, but just to our beings as we exist in this world. You know, being witnessed is one of the deepest human longings that we have, and we can do that for each other just by showing up consistently and paying attention the way Bob did. Not everyone has the means to contribute the way he did, but he showed up for 65 years in every way that it is possible for someone to do. Up to 2 years ago, he was still, along with his son Michael, publishing the church's monthly newsletter because he believed it was important that we know about and celebrate each other. It is important that we know about and celebrate Bob. I hope that his spirit, and not just his service, is remembered around here for a long time to come.
Get it.
Hello, how are you? How are you? I want to talk to Honolulu and tell her this. Gives a kiss by wireless. Please stay. I can't wait to hear